Howdy Earthlings, I have another original species that I made myself, for myself, that I've decided to share with you. This one is an entirely open species, and I won't be making a Discord or website. It's a YouTube exclusive. If you want to support me and see me do more of this kind of thing with this species, you can join the Patreon or donate via my Ko-fi. If I get enough, I'll commission some artists to make some bases for y'all. But before we start, I've been working on my original species course again. It's a course that will teach you how to make an original species, lore, monetization, how to manage a community, and much more. It's planned to be over 80 lessons over several modules. When you buy a module or a whole course, you own it. You can download it and you can watch it offline if you want. If you want a preview of it, I put the first module on YouTube where you can watch it as a preview to decide if you want to buy more modules or the whole course. Right now, you can get all of the modules available plus all future modules for just $12. As more modules come out, this price will go up. I was told that I should price courses more than $20, more than $50 even, so that it seems more legit, but that feels wrong to do. I don't think I'm gonna charge more than $20 out of the gate just so that it seems more legit. Let's keep it cheap. But right now, $12 is the cheapest that it will ever be. I also don't plan to release it in full on YouTube. I will release several parts, or I will take some parts and I will change them into a video that is better suited for YouTube. But if you want to check those out, the link for that is bit.ly/SeraProtoShop. Also, you don't need the course if you're just doing original species for funsies. This is for people that want to, make this a big, huge thing. Get the course still if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, but it's not intended for people that are doing it just for funsies. So let's start the actual video now. Neru. The Neru are a species of spacefaring creatures that are created from the wishes of a planet's populace. At first, these creatures were created for solving one's smaller problems, like a sort of gnome or elf, to help those who make others happy when they need it most. They might help with house duties, keep you company, cook, clean, provide a helping hand in the physical or emotional way. Neru were there to give the wishers the strength to grow and become powerful in their own ways so they can continue to take care of themselves and those around them. In reality, Neru manifest on their homeworld, Nerulia, through a magical cleansing process. When concentrations of evil and evil creatures are cleansed, the Neru are a byproduct, as all energy has to go somewhere. No one really knows what happens with the evil runoff. The young Neru are given the education they need to help others, and then are sent off to worlds in dire need of help. Neru are beings made of concentrated light and don't have a concept of gender. All of them choose a gender of their own when helping the planet they're sent to in order to blend in with the cultural norms of their assigned planet. When talking to other Neru, they refer to themselves in the third person, and other Neru they don't know will assign a nickname based on appearance until corrected. On their assigned world, they'll help the inhabitants deal with evil by giving them a portion of their magic or doing hard labor for their assigned wisher. The whole wisher and wish granting stuff is just total malarkey. They use it as a coverall, basically. A cover to keep their true wants and needs a secret. They want to take the evils and convert it into more Neru. If people knew they needed to cleanse evil energy to grow their numbers, they might start asking a bunch of questions that the freshly born Neru can't answer. All they know is Neru need evil energy to reproduce, and they need to filter the energy to grow. Otherwise, they might stay a baby size for eternity. The Neru aren't just reproducing for the heck of it. Being a being of energy means that they need constant fuel in some way to continue their existence. This can be done through eating, cleansing, which is just eating evil, or through nurturing their environment. They help others grow, and it helps them. But that's not the main reason they look for evil either. The story about them coming from wishes isn't entirely bullcrap. The first Neru was believed to have come from a wish. A planet was dying to corporations, greed. Everyone on the planet stopped looking out for each other. Every friendship made was merely one person trying to scam another. So one town left untouched by the greed on the planet hoped for their planet to be saved. One day the Neru's true enemy arrived on the planet, the Ruin, and they were there to finish the planet off. They came in droves and slowly consumed the planet the way the planet's inhabitants did before them. Soon the world was nearly covered in them when they found the small town. The town was nearly done for when it was down to just a handful of their prayers that represented the will of the planet, and one of the Ruin was consumed by their will. The Ruin separated into two beings, one of light and one of dark, and the light consumed the dark, giving birth to the first Neru. The planet was too far off. Even if the first Neru managed to save them, they would never be able to bring back everyone who was lost. The first Neru did what they could, converting more and more Ruin into Neru before leaving the planet with the remaining survivors. They allowed the survivors to stay with them and help construct their new world, but with them they brought a bit of that cruelty of their own world and were banished. If the Neru were going to save everyone, then they needed a world that could never fall to the ruin, and the first step in that was to make a world that couldn't attract them. This rule was enforced on the Neru as well. Anyone too corrupt would be banished, and that rule had never needed to be enforced until recently. But that's a different story. Now the Neru, under the guise of wish granters, are sent to corrupt worlds in an attempt to scout out new potential planets that the ruin might strike next. It's hard to predict exactly when and where they'll show. The ruin are like wild animals and hunt planet to planet looking for their meals. Neru traits. Neru are small creatures, with none of them being bigger than 2 feet tall. They need to be this small in order to travel between planets. The larger they are, the more energy is consumed when being concentrated into energy. Typically, they take on the form of a rodent or other small mammal with exaggerated proportions in order to appear more cute and trustworthy. This is more of a side effect of the cleansing process and less about trickery, but they will use this cuteness to their advantage. While every Neru claims to be pure of heart, every Neru contains a small aspect of evil within them from their time as a ruin. Usually, this is a minor negative trait, but they are all very good about hiding this fact about themselves. They all have a bit of evil in them, but the fear of banishment keeps them from exposing this behavior to other Neru openly, unless living with other Neru for extended periods. Neru tend to be solitary creatures because a lot of them tend to get absorbed in their work. Time spent at Neru gatherings is time spent hiding their darker tendencies. At the most, their dark tendencies wouldn't be considered much more than mischief by other species. Some might even find their behaviors cute. For example, a Neru not around other Neru might engage in sloth, being incredibly lazy. They'd much rather lend their magic to others and have them do the work for them. Gluttony is a common trait among Neru as well. They love to eat, and when called out on it, they'll say it's just Neru nature, then blame the foods they're eating for being corrupt, evil, or addictive. So when making a Neru, it's important to choose a vice. This doesn't need to be one of the 7 deadly sins. It can be any trait someone might consider a negative trait. They can be a heavy smoker or drinker. They can talk too much. They might have spending problems, or be a thief. Maybe they smell like blueberries because they can't stop vaping. This sinful nature is usually manifested in them in some physical way. Nimsy, the one I made, is chubby and has a consumption problem. They don't just eat too much, but they're a troublemaker, and they don't hide their negative traits well. They overindulge in every possible aspect, and because of that, they're a chubby little nerd who can't fly far. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying that these are actually negative traits, just that the Neru view them as bad. This is more about taking traits that you might think of negatively and wearing them on your sleeve, embracing your flaws as just another part of what makes you you. Negative traits can manifest in multiple ways. It can affect their coat, their appearance, their expressions, their tendencies, and moods. It can show as symbols or physically through traits. In other physical traits, Neru have halos when they're working. These are a manifestation of light, but are just for looks, and they do this themselves. So not all of them do it. They also have wings optionally, but lean towards avian-like wings. The ones who don't have wings can fly and float still. Their tails will often match the animal that they take after, but may be entirely different. Nimsy, for example, is a chinchilla, but has a long, thin, rat-like tail. The end of the tail will have a shape at the end. This is basically like a cutie mark. The shape can be anywhere on the tail, but it is usually big enough that it shows through the fur. So it can be at the base of the tail, the middle, like a bead, or at the end. It's about making people think they're cute, so try to be cute, friendly, and have positive shapes. The rest of the proportion of a Neru are exaggerated. Many parts will be extra large or small to give off a cute look. Large clumsy feet, big eyes, large mouths for shoveling in more evil, or pizza, or small mouths if it's cuter. Bright pastel colors, enlarged ears, chubby, big heads, stuff like that. Basically, you know you've succeeded on creating a Neru based on one important factor. If they asked you for $5, would you give it to them? If you said yes, but I'm worried they'd buy something stupid, then you made the character right. In addition, when making your Neru, think about how their work environment might have influenced their growth. Were they helping rid ruin from the planet, magical girl style, by giving teenagers magical nukes, or were they doing housework? The work they were doing might influence their growth and their negative traits. Neru reproduction. Neru reproduce non-sexually and don't produce waste. When they eat the energy, it's converted into usable energy for growth, and the waste byproduct is their magic. Each one functions like a little battery, and they can pass this charge between each other. This means that they age by consuming evil, so one can be 1,000 years old and still look like a baby if they aren't eating their veggies/evil. Being evil can produce this energy for them too, but energy doesn't come from nothing. They have to do something in excess to generate evil energy. It's this ability to consume their own evil that they insist makes them immune to corruption, but they're actually creating their own corruption. To reproduce, Neru get together and cleanse evil without consuming it. Think of it like an egg. When you crack it open, cook it, and consume it, you're eating the evil. But if you nurture and care for the egg, it turns into a chick. Cleansing evil energy externally is done by a group caring for the evil and showing it kindness that it didn't receive in whatever form it was before being corrupted. Once completed, the evil will separate from the good, and the good part consumes the evil part. This results in a little orb-like slime creature. As Ruin are slimes themselves, Neru start life as an amorphous gel shape too. As a Neru baby grows and consumes more evil, they grow various different traits depending on how they're cared for. This can make for an alternate method for designing your Neru. Rather than creating an adult from scratch, you could draft a baby and add traits as you go. This can result in a more unique looking Neru that doesn't borrow too heavily from any one species. Neru names. Like many magical beings like the Fae, Neru hold a lot of value in names. Like spells that have a specific structure, incantation, material, and energy, a name is made of multiple components. Names are like a spell that are conducted at birth and will shape the being's future. Some will choose their own name and grow into it as if fated, others will be given a name by their peers, and a single Neru may go through dozens of names in a single lifetime. Even cruel or mean nicknames are seen as good, even if they do sting a little. Typically, Neru will have one of three name schemes: a simple two-syllable name for general use, like Nimsy Nova, or one name for when they're young and another name for when they're old, but it's one name. So like Nimsy Nova, Nimsy would be their young name, Nova would be their old name. And then the final kind of name is one that is so inconceivably long that only a Neru could remember it. When a name is made, it's inscribed on them magically as part of their soul, and Elder Neru can see these names written in the magic of those surrounding them. But most Neru will just call each other Neru, a nickname based on their appearance, their elder name out of respect, or their youthful name in friendship. The super long name is only done in respect of a Neru and their deeds, or out of fear of them should they be as disrespectful as to call them by their simple name. If they don't like a Neru, they'll refuse to speak their name or gift them one. This is a rare occurrence. Despite Nimsy being banished, no one denies them a name. That's it for this species. I didn't put much thought into them. About half of what I shared is stuff that I made up on the spot for this video. That's why it's also short on art. I didn't make them to be a species that I'd share with everyone. It was originally just Nimsy. Either way, thank you for watching. You're welcome to use the species if you want. If you like this video, consider becoming a patron or YouTube member. If you do, you get your name in the credits just like Taito Phoenix, Aspirant Artist, Paper, Faye Penguin, Momentary Unicorn, Aurora the Puppy Moth, Sly, Nat, Marius, Yeenie, Worm Syrup, Rask, Beef, Sly again, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linky again, Blackjack, Willie P, TG Dante, who also made this background, and Molding Brick. Thanks again to them. I'll see you later. I have to go get flying rats out of my fridge. Don't you touch that cheesecake. That's my cheesecake.